Real reason a WWE star was buried on air, details on the new WWE Championship, SmackDown not going to 3 hours, and more. I'm Luke Owen and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Get exclusive bonus videos over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk.
While we can dance a happy dance that we're in a new era of WWE where the show is, actually good, it's easy to forget that it was only a few years ago that it wasn't. 2019 feels like a lifetime ago, but it was actually only 5 years ago. Netflix's Mr. McMahon documentary does a pretty good job of highlighting just how bad WWE was between 2002 and 2022, and some of the weirder things that Vince did to talent he didn't like. Case in point, Christian Cage. The long-running story is that Vince didn't get Christian, even at one point pitched a gimmick where he would have a blue dot over his face because he thought he was creepy looking. Christian would leave WWE in 2005 and join TNA, where he got the main event run that many felt he should have got while working for Vince. He then went back to WWE in 2009, where he went to the ECW brand. And when he returned, he wasn't met with much fanfare. In fact, ECW's lead commentator Todd Grisham just says, as plainly as possible, it's Christian. Fans have made fun of Grisham for this over the years, with many wondering why his return wasn't hyped by commentary at all. Some even theorized it was an outright burial of Christian because he left for TNA. And Todd Grisham has now revealed that it was done on purpose. He posted on Twitter, right before I walked out of gorilla position before the show, Vince McMahon called me over and said, when Christian walks out, don't get excited at all. Simply say, it's Christian, and that's it. Understand me? I wonder if this was a response to his original plans getting canned, because the reports at the time were that Christian was supposed to be revealed as the man who was attacking Jeff Hardy, but those plans got scrapped because it got reported in the dirt sheets, so WWE swerved and made it Matt Hardy instead, and Christian got shipped off to ECW. Seemingly replying to this story getting out, AEW's Tony Khan simply posted, Christian Cage is the man. Speaking of guys going from WWE in the mid-2000s to TNA, then going back to WWE only to be disrespected, and Kurt Angle has opened up about his second run in WWE and his retirement match with Baron Corbin. He noted that while he loves Baron Corbin, he wasn't the most ideal final match, saying that he requested to Vince that he actually face John Cena at WrestleMania 35 instead. He told Not Sam, but Vince said, you're gonna have to wait until next year because you have a program with Baron Corbin. So I was like, okay, I don't think I can go another year, Vince. He said, well then, it is what it is. John Cena didn't have a match at WrestleMania 35 for the record. Angle feels that WWE didn't appreciate him in his second run. He added that when he left for TNA, the WWE viewpoint was, okay, well if he comes back, we're gonna teach him a little lesson. Ollie Davis and I are currently covering this period of wrestling history over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk, the next episode of which sees us cover TNA Final Resolution 2007, featuring the third singles match between Angle and Samoa Joe in 3 months. And speaking of exclusive content over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk, there is a brand new exclusive episode of Survival Series where we have to name every Hell in a Cell participant. And there is also a brand new episode of Survival Series that you can all watch right now over at Parts Fun Known. And this one features none other than Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Dave, name me a WCW champion.
Ric Flair.
Ding. You can continue on at your own pace, however you'd like.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Ric Flair, Sting, Hulk Hogan,
Ding.
Randy Savage, Kevin Nash.
Slow down, jerk!
Let's get the important one out of the way. Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
Do I do 2000 first and kind of get a lot of the wacky the 2000 names out of the way? Or do I save some of those for when I'm struggling a little bit and go back to kind of the start? Let's do some of these 2000 names. I've done Jarrett, Benoit,
Chris Benoit.
Sid
Vicious.
Vince Russo.
Vince Russo.
Vince Russo.
Vince Russo.
Vince Russo, right?
Ding.
Yeah.
Sad ding.
Yeah.
One you'd like to forget.
Yeah, that was the period I tried to forget.
Oh, that was bad, bro. Bad.
On to more current wrestling news, and last weekend's Bad Blood featured the latest groundbreaking announcement from Triple H, a new WWE Championship. The gimmick for Crown Jewel from Saudi Arabia is that the champions from both Raw and SmackDown will face each other, with the winners becoming the Champion of Champions. So, In essence, it's the old Survivor Series gimmick that no one liked, or bragging rights that no one cared about, or that one Cyber Sunday from 2006 that no one remembers. The real ones remember SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. The announcement was met with a bit of mockery online, mostly due to the stipulation, where that stipulation is taking place, and the fact the belt is really quite hideous. And many assume this was just a Saudi Arabia sports washing thing. It's not actually a new title that will be defended, it's more like the green belt that Braun Strowman won at Greatest Royal Rumble, or the 2-weight cup, or my personal favourite, that time Shane McMahon was declared the best in the world. And it would appear that is the case. On the latest edition of WrestleVotes Radio, they report the belt will not feature on TV after Crown Jewel or defended throughout the year. They say that it will be like the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, something that happens in Saudi Arabia, and then they quote, move on. And things like this could happen more often for the Saudi Arabia shows, as WrestleVotes say they are going to have requests for WWE of things that they want to see happen. And this Crown Jewel Championship was something that came to them as an idea, and WWE did a great way of figuring out a way to make it work. Are you excited to see Cody Rhodes versus Gunther to find out who really is the champion of champions? Or are you excited to see Cody Rhodes versus Gunther because that match sounds awesome? Let me know in the comments down below. Speaking of things that won't be around, it looks like that we have now officially passed the days of 3-hour WWE shows. Raw has officially moved to 2 hours. NXT and SmackDown are remaining 2-hour shows on USA and the CW. However, there was a report recently that said USA Network wanted SmackDown to move to 3 hours once Raw goes to Netflix in 2025. But that doesn't appear to be the case. As Fightful Select report, I asked WWE about SmackDown's runtime when it was first rumored that they were going to 3 hours, and they said SmackDown would remain a 2-hour show. However, before we all pull the party poppers and celebrate the death of 3-hour shows, there is still Netflix. Sean Rossap added in his report, when I asked if Raw would go back to 3 hours after Netflix picked them up, I wasn't given an answer in an official capacity. When I asked people in the company, I'm told that it will be determined. Would you like to see Raw or SmackDown run for 3 hours? Let me know in the comments down below. Someone who will be around to find out the answer is Rhea Ripley. It was reported last month that WWE were aggressively going after talent who have deals expiring in 2025, which included Nia Jax, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley. And now PW Insider are reporting that Ripley and WWE have agreed to a new 5-year deal with a significant pay increase. They do note, though, that this deal has been agreed to, but they have yet to put pen to paper and cross the T's and dot the lowercase j's. Speaking of talent staying where they are, and Daniel Garcia revealed on this week's episode of Dynamite that he is going to stay with AEW despite big interest from WWE. PW Nexus posted on Twitter, "We're hearing it was a 3-year deal with a hefty pay increase." There had been some question marks over Garcia's future in All Elite Wrestling, with some reports saying that the reason MJF beat him at All Out, even though Max was taking time off, was because they were unsure if Garcia would stay or go to WWE. And speaking of MJF, and Fightful Select have an update on when we can expect an AEW return. MJF re-signed with AEW earlier this year and had a superb feud with Will Ospreay over the summer, and even became WrestleTalk's American correspondent for a few weeks. He took time off after beating Garcia at All Out to film a role for the Adam Sandler movie Happy Gilmore 2, which Fightful Select note was a major one moving forward for his career. They also report that he's got a role in a new movie with Justin Long and Ron Perlman, though details for that one are, as Fightful Select put it, few and far between. Although MJF is doing a bit more filming for Happy Gilmore 2, Fightful Select report he's expected to be returning to AEW TV sooner than later. But that doesn't mean he'll be at this weekend's AEW WrestleDream. We'll have a full review of that show this coming Sunday, and a podcast review with myself and Sat Iniangi over on the WrestleTalk podcast channel, and it could see the company's next big debut. MVP debuted for AEW at Grand Slam, and the following week brought with him Shelton Benjamin, and it was reported that this was the start of the Hurt Syndicate, a new faction based on the previous success of the Hurt Business in WWE. MVP was very vocal in Instagram comments that he wanted to reunite the group in WWE, but Triple H told him it wasn't going to happen. It has been reported that Bobby Lashley will be joining MVP and Benjamin in AEW, and deals for all three have been in place for a few weeks. An Ebu of WrestlePurist is indicating that Lashley will debut for AEW this Saturday at WrestleDream. was even reported at one point that Lashley would even wrestle on the show. Swerve Strickland had been announced for a segment on WrestleDream, which is likely where the Lashley debut will happen. We did our full predictions for WrestleDream, which you can go and watch right now, and make sure you check out the latest edition of Survival Series featuring Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez, where we have to name every WCW champion.